Greetings, my Dragon Knights, Dragonborn. This is Dragon Knight here, aka Dragonborn, and my Dragonkin alike. Today, I'm gonna end up reviewing Twilight Princess, no Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, one of my childhood, I would definitely say a little bit late, but kind of early childhood to even alone early teenhood, you know. And this is gonna be definitely like my own thoughts, my own opinions, and how I want to review this game. And please note, whatever I'm saying is my personal opinion and how I think in general, how I feel about the game in general. And again, this has been on an emulator, so that way you all know that basically I have made the review on an emulator and it still runs pretty fine. Yeah, a couple, hiccups here and there, but again, I definitely hope that you all definitely enjoy this upcoming review of my review of Twilight Princess, and I hope that you definitely enjoy. So, on to the review. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is definitely one of those games that I can definitely say, at least from what I understand from how this game is definitely portrayed, it is mostly the first, just the first Legend of Zelda that has a little higher rating than that E for everyone type of thing. Honestly, there is some dark elements to it, but it didn't really feel much dark than like Majora's Mask, because in Majora's Mask you definitely know there's already doom already happening, and it just feels like no matter what you do, you're always in that loophole or in that cycle, like, oh, if I do something my progress gets reset, or just in the case because you always feel that the moon that's hovering over you. Twilight Princess, it definitely has that dark feel to it, but in my personal opinion, it didn't feel as much, like I said, not as much as Majora's Mask. Now, Twilight Princess, yeah, this has already happened right after the main quote-unquote threat of the game, which is basically spoilers if anybody hasn't played it, known as character name as Ant. But I'll end up talking about that a little bit of the time. Probably a little bit at the end. But, this is what basically, what after what happened. But you always feel like you are in that time. Like, oh yeah, you still have time, you're okay. But, like, to Breath of the Wild, which honestly has a little bit more darker tone to it in general. It just, like, it's already happened, there's no hope unless you can really redo, what you've done from from 100 years ago. And that's going to be end up going to be one of the things I can definitely mention about when that video comes. But the graphics of this game, for the GameCube wise, it was a little bit, on the lower end of the side, but it's still. And of course, if you emulate it right now, it's actually really good. And of course, I'm using an emulator to enhance the graphics a bit. I know that, from me watching it right now, I know there's like some delays going on with it. I think it's just because of OBS, but still. But the graphics of this game is still really well neat. But of course, again, since I'm using an emulator, it definitely, at least the emulating wise, you can definitely tell there's some things that's a little bit off. I think it's just from the emulator itself in general. But overall, it's still a really good game just to, emulate. Okay, gameplay wise, it definitely improves a little bit more than, like, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past. I know every single different Legend of Zelda game has its own different, unique playstyle, and of course, at the time of how the games came out and how they interpreted it. But in general, I definitely like this mechanic, mechanic-wise in this game. It just feels a little bit more natural to some degree. Now, of course, there are still some other ones that can still have a little bit issues with, which I'll definitely talk a little bit, in a minute or two. But still, I always personally believe that, this game mechanics is really good, like the hidden skills and stuff. It's personally, in my personal opinion, really good, the story is still really well neat. The characters to the game, it's mostly good, but the one that I personally feel and have a more personal agree with in the game-wise, the one that has it more developed is Midna. The character right from at least after the prologue, which has a little bit longer prologue than to any, well, at least for at the time being when this game came out, longer than any other Zeldas. I know there is like probably a longer one of Legend of Zelda that is basically has a little bit longer prologue, like Skyward Sword, if I'm remembering correctly. I'll definitely end up reviewing that game sometime a little bit later, sometime down the road. But anyways, it's that, that 3-day cycle. I think if they kind of borrow that from Majora's Mask, because this game is a sequel after, Majora's Mask in the child timeline, that honestly it definitely feels, like it's a little continuation. And just some personal opinion, I'm actually really happy that they definitely continued a little bit more in this, in that childhood timeline, and I know and of course right after this one, in the official timeline, right after Twilight Princess comes with Four Swords Adventures, if I'm remembering correctly. So, but it just and definitely in general, and basically mostly in general, the gameplay is a really, like I mentioned before, it feels really good, but they definitely took some inspirations from, from other games, like of Ocarina of Time and a little bit of Majora's Mask, but not as much, but definitely took the Ocarina of Time way and made it more towards into here. It's like taking the exact same formula from Legend of Zelda all the way into here. Now, the only nitpicks I definitely can literally say in general I have with this, it's just Hyrule, at least in this one, it definitely felt more like Ocarina of Time. Yeah, there is a couple things that is still, in the game-wise, but it didn't feel as much alive. Okay, yeah, there's gonna be enemies coming towards you. There's horseback, which is really fun. I definitely like that mechanic, and I'm glad if I think of this correctly, they definitely added that into Breath of the Wild, but I could be wrong, which is definitely fine. And mostly, that's just my own nitpick, and of course, how long the prologue was in this game was a little bit more longer than I would like, because there is like 3 days, but you can definitely skip that, at least in the original. Now, when it comes to HD, from what I understand, they definitely patched that up, pretty much. And of course, there's still some side quests, here and there, but as any Legend of Zelda, if you really wanted to, you can go ahead and just, do that. Or if not, just do what the game is and just have a little short game with it. Or just mostly have or just do a very long gameplay, which is has a little bit more content into the game, because it just, to me, that's what I like about side quests and main missions. Yeah, you can just do straight main missions, but it just feels a little bit too short, because that's the whole thing. It's just like going point A to point B in main missions. But in side missions, I definitely personally like to have, you know, that balance between having a good amount of content, making from one part, you know, from short to end, but it's actually going to have a good long in the exact same way. The boss fights is just really simple, but for what I was fighting again right now, as you can see, I definitely had some major problems. It wasn't really, I guess I'm just really rusty, but at the exact same time, when I was dealing with this, for some reason, every time when I'm locking on or cases, Zelda would miss. I know it's probably just how it was at me, even though I can just aim right at him, but it's like, she couldn't follow how, you know, the Z target is. It's like, oh, it's just going to be straight line, and that's it. And of course, she does mention about, hey, you gotta be aware in the line of sight fire. But the second time, it's just literally, Zelda, if you're a princess and you're at least a good archer, you should have at least have a little bit better aim at this. And honestly, the Ganon fight, the three, if you want to say four, if you want to include that was actually really neat. I definitely like that. I wish they definitely had that more into these later Zeldas, because to me that was really cool. You know, both phase 1, phase 2. If I'm looking at this correctly, it is about that phase. And to me, I definitely like that. And of course, here's phase 3, which is the final phase, where you and Ganon are going sword fighting. Honestly, I thought that was really fun, really cool, and I definitely love that feature in this, in this game. And if they're going to definitely do that, hopefully in later Zeldas, and maybe tweak it up a bit, that is really cool. I personally like, again, I just really like, that sword fighting. So, and of course there is like a little, thing that they definitely, as a run guy, can use a fishing line and, distract them. But the hidden skills, as you can see right now, is just, I'm just doing that jump to the side and do that spin. I forget the name of it right now, but that's basically it. That's the really good thing in general about, the hidden skills. Once you learn that, you're pretty good. Now, there are some enemies that probably get a little bit immune, but it just mostly in general, it's like, that's just one of the things. And the hidden skills from the Hero Shade teaches you down. It's actually, in my personal opinion, really cool to have that mechanic in there and have a good teacher. I definitely can say I definitely wish they added that into it. Now, of course, when it comes to the final fight, of course, it just feels a little bit more intense because you're facing the big bad final boss of the game, which is, well, as a Legend of Zelda with Ganon in it. It's Ganon, or Ganondorf mostly, or Ganon Dork. I'm sorry, I've just been watching too much Versus. I think one of them said Ganon Dork, but yeah, you can just literally just cheese Ganondorf with this. Like, use a fishing rod, he gets distracted, and do some wax. It's literally that simple. It's like a gag. So, and of course, right after that, you get the final plunge, and that's basically it. But if you switch to the Ordon sword, he could just get something immediately, because you definitely need that master sword and just definitely plunge it in. And as usual, you know, I'll definitely will put up, you know, probably right here about what I basically, you know, went through and stuff like that. But before I do, I definitely want to put this clip right here. There is a mod for, you know, for the emulator of the Nintendo GameCube. And it's just, you know, it's just basically a mod just to make, you know, Link from Twilight Princess 2 of, you know, Ocarina of Time. But definitely, it's really cool in this, you know, in general fact, because to me, in general, it's really, really cool that, you know, it's definitely, you know, in there, and it's really amazing. I'll definitely stream that at some time. And of course, you know, I just definitely want to mention about, you know, that really cool fact. Now, there is definitely one more thing before nitpick I definitely have with this game. I know they speed it up in HD, and of course, I probably already made a video with, you know, of HD Twilight Princess, and they definitely speeded up the climbing mechanic. I definitely hated about it. And how many times, you know, you pick up a rupee, if it's less than one rupee, it's just automatically, you know, just, oh hey, you collected 20, oh hey, you collected 20. It's just really freaking annoying in general. It's just, you know, not really that fun. And of course, and here is my score. In my playthrough of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, there were 3 deaths. Most of them was because I was trying to do a skip of in the original, and apparently that didn't work out. 40 pieces of heart collected, 53 post souls collected, 25 boss, both main and mini, 7 hidden skills, and 45 hours of total playtime. And in my personal opinion, it was really fun just to, you know, play this game. And basically all in general. And I think at least in this one, it definitely highlights in this personal cutscene right here. So I'm going ahead and just let it play through.
We will do for a few minutes just but I can forget words and start. Now be right. Just to take the way to help you start to do. We face. You can.
Farewell, Midna. I definitely, hopefully, that we definitely see each other Hopefully in another game, in another time. Alright, after all that's been said, I just want to again mention this again. What I just mentioned was also my beef or my issues I have run with the game. In general, I definitely like the game a lot, but there's still been some nitpicks that still drove me crazy. And that's just the way it is. And even in general, I definitely like the characters and how everything was. And coming from a definitely, a highest rating of Legend of Zelda, how I felt and how I played Majora's Mask, it kind of felt a little bit flatter on the darker tone, and definitely hopefully on the Breath of the Wild that, Breath of the Wild 2, at least this time we're recording, it's still right out. I definitely hope they definitely increase a little bit more the darker tone. That's gonna be another time for its own category about how my own thoughts and opinions of, and of course, at this time of recording, I already made, a review of this one, and if there is, or probably, whenever this video is already out, I've already made, like, a Journey Plus, or a Journey Through, or New Game Plus, whatever the case is, about, Twilight Princess HD, if it came out on Switch, or I emulated, whatever the case is, I still give it my honest thoughts and opinions as well, and just, how I thought about it. But again, this was my casual run, or basically, not a full completion run, but still a very enjoyable game, and coming from my childhood, and I have matured a lot more on the way since I picked up the game again. Alright, that being said, my Dragon Knights, Dragon Warriors, I definitely give The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess my dragon rating of Hoard It. That being said, my Dragon Knights and Dragon Warriors, that being said, if you like what you saw, please don't forget to burn that like button. Also, if you're not like saw, hit thumbs down for a reason, which is okay. Kindle that subscribe button to join the family of Dragon Knights and Dragon Warriors. Comment, and share, and always ring that bell for notifications so that way you never miss a video or anything coming your way. That being said, my Dragon Knights and Dragon Warriors, I definitely hopefully see you all. As always, my Dragon Knights and Dragon Warriors, this is Dragon Knight here, aka Dragonborn, signing out, and hopefully see you all in the next video.